Top of the afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We're going to do a little saw off between a bone stock MS500i, a Insano SS version 461. That particular saw belongs to my friend Fiddle over on the right coast. And I've had that saw for a little while I've been trying to get some of these other saws dialed in. And so thanks for being patient, my friend. We're getting close to Christmas. With any luck, you'll have that in your possession before that, and it'll be like Santa Claus hit you or something like that. So anyway, we have Mr. Molinex's 500i immediately adjacent to this is a 461 essentially. Now that is a Franken500i. It had a problem with one of the parts when it came in. We decided we're gonna try something. I've been wanting to do that for a long time, ever since I took Mr. Out in the Woods saw apart back in, that was early April. So a long time ago, kind of had a wild idea, never really got an opportunity to do it. It came up, Mr. Molinex was game. We ran the Franken500i against the stock one on this particular cut right here. 3-foot steel lightweight bar, and we have some full skip Oregon chain. It's the same chain as last time, but I took the stops down. The stops weren't down very far. They were between 30 and maybe 35 thousand, somewhere around 35. They were hovering around in that ballpark. What I notice is when your chain's kind of lagging, zip versus stock, it's hard to tell the differential. So I took the stops down to around 45 thousandths in this particular run. We're gonna give that stock one a run for its money because that's a coasty grind essentially. I wanted to kind of check that out, I guess. And then, like I said, we're in the testing phases of the first Franken500i that I've ever done. And I don't know until I zip that one, which we're going to stick with stock componentry, I think, how they're going to compare. So second run, it was a little faster in the cut, but it had a lot more power, which I talked to a guy on the phone a couple days ago, and he admitted, after we kind of discussed, it's really hard to tell how they feel. You can see times when you're talking about running a long bar in a bigger cut, you want power because essentially you're going to be getting them off the stump faster. I guess time means a little bit. It's not like it doesn't mean anything necessarily, but we've seen lots of saw-offs where saws will run about the same amount of time through the cut, but one saw to me has noticeably more low-end grunt. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. You cannot tell that through the computer monitor. So anyway, we're pretty much warmed up with the stock 500i, so let us give it a little run for its money here. Alright, so I pulled on the pistol grip and the handlebars a little bit, pretty much stopped her in the tracks. It really didn't take that much effort on my part. 6.8 horsepower in stock form. They're really lightweight. They flap around. This is with a 3-foot bar. They're pretty good longitudinally with the 3 spring mount system, but on either side, they're banging up against the stops everywhere, and the cover actually makes contact with the rubber shield that keeps the rain off of the filter element. So on a personal level, I wish they would have made this saw 3 ounces heavier and put a 4 spring mount in it, since it's kind of a bigger saw, quote unquote, but it is what it is, I guess. As with all things on this planet, there's always a but, right? Pretty awesome but. If you're a guy that's banging undercuts out with the tines on the end of the bucking spikes, this is not a machine that a guy like that would actually probably want to have, in my professional opinion. I'll bang on them a little bit. Most of the time I just use my axe. I make undercuts funky kind of a lot of times on purpose. I'm trying to get something happening, and I'm not always having my cuts match up. That's pretty much purposeful. Sometimes I do when it's not necessarily critical. Most of the time I'm doing something weird, like I said. So anyway, the chain is still lagging pretty good. I haven't touched it since the last session. It's definitely not an inland. These were standing dead. We did a little sauce woodlot makeover situation here. They were standing dead trees, and from about 4,000 feet in elevation, and getting pounded with wind like what we're dealing with here all the time. And so they're actually pretty stout, even though they're a little rotten. So we're going to bar change and get the other 500i warmed up off camera, just because it's going to take a minute. Okay, we're nice and warmed up with the Franken500i, second test session. Okay, we got that thing spinning up, light switch quick, kind of like the old 125 Elsinores from the middle of the 70s. They were either struggling down low or you got a wheelie going on and held on for dear life kind of an operation. That thing almost needs an accelerator pump off the bottom, it seems like to me. So the Franken500 does better than the stock one. We're getting a little bit more solid. We're running into a big mondo. There's a knot that's about 6 inches right there. We're kind of cutting right on the edge of it. We picked off that with the Franken500i. The 461 that has the Insano SS zip kit, it's going to get a lot more of the knot. Curious to see how it handles that bar with that chain, since that chain, like I already mentioned, is pretty much lagging. Got to thank Mr. Ryan for allowing me to have his 500i for a pretty good little stretch. We're going to be getting on that here shortly though. I got one other saw I want to test it in stock form, and then we're going to put the hurt on that one and see how it compares with the Franken500i. All right, bar change now. The 461 has way more power. I can pull on the handlebars a lot more on that saw and it still keeps motoring along. We kind of notice we're getting more into the knot. So it had the worst of it as far as that goes. I'm thinking that the Franken500 was about 2 seconds or so faster than the stock one versus the 461. I think that one was a second or so faster, maybe even 2 on the Franken500i, but who knows exactly for sure. It's hard to tell in that long of a cut. Has way more low end, I think, probably than either one of them, even though maybe it didn't win. I don't know for sure yet, but we're still getting that thing broken in too. I didn't even spin it over 13,000. They're gonna run in the 14s the way they're set up with the artificial intelligence running the program. Limited by carburation, so it's at a disadvantage on kind of multiple fronts. It's down in displacement, 76.45 versus 79.2. It's down on RPMs, technically limited by the carburation to less than 13,000. They'll go into the 14,000s. That's why it's kind of hard to do a fair test with the new school versus the old school technology concept, because they'll spin up a lot higher than that saw will. So even if it only runs even with the Franken500i, it picked up at least the horsepower, which is saying something. Well, at least in my humble opinion, it's saying something. So anyway, we got an opportunity to give Fiddle's saw a run for his money, I guess. Check the description for the timed runs. I'm going to have to scrutinize what I saw in this operation pretty heavily to come up with some actual numbers. We're looking at more low-end power and a smaller displacement, old school saw right there, than what we see in the new one. However, like I said, the Franken500i, it's the saw on the left, it's the Franken500i, excuse me. Anyway, R&D, you come up with ideas and then you have to test them in the real world and see if they actually live up to your ideas. That, of course, when you come up with an idea, you think it's awesome, right? That's your idea. So I thought it was a pretty good idea. I'm not sure if it's going to work out like I planned. Like I said, we're needing an accelerator pump down low off idle. The thing picks up speed so fast, and so the AI is struggling with the process a little bit, dumping the fuel in there quick enough, it seems like to me, but that's kind of the way it goes. Phase 1 testing. Alrighty, thanks for watching this session. Have a blessed day wherever you might be on God's green earth.